Bible Answers with Dr. Al Garza.
Hi, welcome back to Bible Answers. Today I'm going to be doing a short broadcast based on what's been going on, of course, in the world regarding the coronavirus and things that I think I've been receiving a lot of questions on regarding the virus, regarding any biblical sound teachings or connections we can make. So I want to say first that if you're at home and you're staying at home, then this is a great time to start getting into the Word of God, getting into prayer. Keep in mind, God is in control. However this turns out in the end, God will still be in control. He'll still be ruling over His creation, and that given our faith in Him and our trust, that we will come out of this. So there's a couple things we can look at. And I'm going to talk a little bit first about the biblical perspective, because there's a lot of unknowns, as well as from the area of the virus itself. Now, a lot of people don't know this about me, but I've been in the medical field for over 15 years while I was working on my degree in biblical studies and in my associate scholar program. I was in the medical field working at hospitals and labs, as a CPT-1 tech, as a lab assistant, lab tech, laboratory and diagnostic training. I helped build curriculums in different colleges and universities in various medical fields, whether it be for LVNs, medical assistants, nursing programs regarding lab procedures and so forth. So I'm very familiar with the hospital and labs and testing viruses, bacterial and parasites and all that. I'm not an expert that's been doing this all my life, but I've been trained. I've talked to a number of different doctors and scientists, even in this case now. And I'll share some of the things that they have told me 10 years ago when the H1N1 swine flu came out, I think in '08. Why the question is, why in other viruses that have come out all the way back from the Spanish flu to the H1N1 to now, why is this one different in the sense of how we are handling it? And the answer might shock you, at least the answer that was given to me 10 years ago regarding viruses. But before that, let me just say, there's a lot of preachers and ministers out there talking about end time scenarios, talking about, what this is about. Now, we don't know exactly what God is doing, as far as if this is something that He's bringing upon the U.S. and the world, or something that man has created and God is going to use for His purpose, to show His glory and His power. But He still rules, He's still King, and Jesus is still Lord. So we need to keep that in mind. So this time we should be in our homes in prayer, and of course, and with our families, studying the Scriptures, and just praying that the Lord's will be done. And that whatever the outcome is, that we will come out of this okay, specifically as believers. So keep that in mind at this time that you are at home, because I know it can be very stressful. I'm home with my family. I'm in California, so we really are restricted in our moving around out and about. But it's a great time, just like I said, get into prayer, get into the Word, focus on on your family, and keep that part of your daily focus. Now, with the coronavirus, 10 years ago when the H1N1 came out, I think it was around '08, just over 10 years ago, I was talking to, and even when the when HIV came out, even in the 80s and so forth, I was around then too, we didn't react this way as a nation. And I had asked the scientists about this in around '08, '09, a doctor and a scientist who specialized in this area, and he made a comment that stood with me to this day, and it makes more sense today than it did back then. He talked about two types of different viruses. One that's natural, that's already out there and part of our daily living, then that can evolve to a worse extent of the original form, or even decrease and fade away, or a manufactured virus that scientists create in a lab by using other natural viruses and then manipulating them and then creating a whole new virus in a manufactured lab setting. And one thing he said was this, is that he said this 10 years ago, just over 10 years ago. He said if H1N1 or any other virus prior to that, even HIV and all that, was a manufactured lab virus, he made a comment that you would probably see a complete shutdown of the world because they would know that they could stop it. If you created it, you can stop it. And the only way to stop it is by doing what we're doing now. Isolation, keeping everybody away so it doesn't spread and evolve into a natural form, that we have to kill it and stop it immediately. So if you can create it, you can stop it. And of course, that kind of hit more at home with me today, because we are in a shutdown. We don't, and there has been rumors about this virus being made in a lab. Now we don't know for sure. Honestly, it's speculation. I'm just telling you what was shared with me years ago. So I'm not saying this is what it is, but it's interesting at what he said back then, when he said, about the H1N1 and past viruses, that we just handle it like every other natural virus because they know, doctors and scientists know that a natural virus you can't really stop. It's there. It's always been there. It might have mutated into something a little more, and we got to handle it because it'll always be around. We can't control the natural evolution of viruses. We can only respond to it with vaccines and all that. But a man-made one, he said, that's something we feel that if we started it, we could stop it. And if we isolate everybody and let the virus and not allow the virus to spread, that'll eventually just die out. So take that as you will. It's interesting that we're now in the situation that he had mentioned back then to me regarding the different cases of man-made viruses, and I'm sure labs and doctors around the world experiment with viruses, and they might mutate them and manipulate them and see how they react. And if this one was one of them that might have gotten out of a lab accidentally, that might have somehow escaped the lab, and we know it's a manufactured man-made, then what would be the best route, as he said, was to isolate everybody and try to stop the virus before it spreads and becomes natural and mutates and something we can never get rid of. Because if you look at H1N1, HIV, all the other viruses that we've always had, we've never responded this way. And even with the common influenza virus, that kills a lot more than most common viruses, we don't isolate ourselves. We live with it because we know it's part of our natural way of life. And there's nothing we can do about it but just try and treat people who get it, and with vaccines and everything else. But with this one, it's a complete 180. All of a sudden, it's isolation given away. And that made me think about what he had said, that manufacturing this virus, that this could be something that was possibly, if it was manufactured, then the only way we can stop a manufactured virus is by isolating everybody and letting it die out, or trying to stop it before it becomes more of a natural mutated virus that we can't stop anymore, that all we can do is treat. And even though we're looking for vaccines and treatment, it's funny how we are isolated, no contact, we have all these things shutting down around the world, and it seems like what he had told me back then has come to pass. And again, we don't know for sure. Obviously, I don't know for sure. I'm just sharing with you what was told to me. So, it's just interesting to me. I wanted to share it with all of you, my viewers, that, what could be going on here. But again, as believers, it's in God's control. It's in his hands. He could use this for his glory and use it for his purpose. Economically, we're looking at, possible an economic crash. But again, we've always recovered from these things in the past. It might take longer for some in different parts of the world, but I believe we will come out on the other end a lot stronger. And if it's God's will, then we will rise again as a country, and then let this be a lesson learned. But again, we just got to stay in prayer. We got to stay in the scriptures. So keep that in mind as we're at home. Again, I just wanted to share with you this thought. Again, I've been in the medical field for 15 years. I'm not in the medical field anymore. I do own medical programs, training programs still. And if you'd like to know more about me, go to my website, dralgarza.org, click about, and you can read a little about my history and where I come from, my background. But I hope this helps. Stay safe out there, and trust in the Lord, trust in God. ultimately his will be done, and his purpose. So I hope this helps. I hope this encourages you. I don't want to bring any kind of doom and gloom. We don't know the end result. We can all speculate. We can all, look at the scriptures and try to make connections. And sometimes it's for the good, sometimes it's for the bad. All we gotta do is sit back and let God do his thing, and let him know that he is in control and he's over us and protects us. So keep that in mind. I hope this does help shed some light on the situation from what I've come to learn, what I've learned in the past about these things, and how viruses work. I'm not going to get into the intricacies of it all because it's all medical based. And like I said, I'm not an expert in that field per se, though. I've taught in classrooms on different areas of medical, laboratory, and diagnostic procedures about bacteria and viruses and parasites. But again, I'm not an expert where I spent my life looking at it. I'm just giving you what was told to me just over 10 years ago and what I'm aware of now. So hope this does help. Again, we'll come back to you soon with some more updates on things that I've looked into and made some, talking to people about this stuff. So I hope this does help. Again, I want to thank you for tuning in to Bible Answers. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them here or email me, and I'll try to get to them. So I want to say thank you, be safe, and God bless.
Bible Answers with Dr. Al Garza.